All right, fellas, and it looks like things are good to go here. How's it going, everyone? And welcome to your favorite Sunday night Xbox show, the Xbox Roundtable. This is your host, Invader, and we're back after taking a bit of a break for the Independence Day long weekend. Admittedly, there's been a bit of a lull in really big news, but then again, it's just that time of the year. But there's still quite a few things to cover and to talk about. For example, PlayStation did some shopping around and acquired a couple of studios. What are our thoughts on those recent moves? Well, we'll get into that. As well, we'll dive into, some recent news and interview with Avalanche Studios talking about their Xbox exclusive Contraband. Is this Xbox's, big advantage? Is it a big advantage for the ecosystem and a big advantage for the game, for the studio? And a few other things to cover, certainly a few things to talk about. However, let me introduce everyone on the show panel tonight. And first off, a bit of an announcement in case you already don't know. General MLD will be joining the show as a permanent full-time panel member. Welcome to the show, pal. How you doing over there?
Oh, yes. Thanks for that very nice intro there. Thank you for welcoming me. It's good to be here. Just came back from the Euro Italy celebrations in my town, but the show must go on. Here I am, ready to talk gaming. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally, brother. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I think I saw in the DM you, or at least in your Twitter feed, like all those people going crazy. I'm not sure if there was a highway or whatever. It was on a street, like people waving the Italian flags and the Azzurri flag around. I know people are going nuts at my end, but damn, like it's gonna be a party tonight, man. For all the
That wasn't
Italians.
even a highway. That was like a regular residential road.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy over here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking near me, like all the Italians in Little Italy and Hamilton are just gonna they must be just flooring it, or the Italians in Toronto on College Street there, man, it's a party. It's a party. By the way, good job to England. You guys did a good job, but damn, definitely a party for the Azzurri. Getting that second Euro title there. Just exciting tournament to watch. Again, I'm a huge soccer fan, admittedly, so this is really good news. But yeah, guy, welcome to the panel. Moving along here, Tim, buddy, hey, how you been?
Been busy and studying for CDL, like I was telling you pre-show. Very happy to announce that Mr. Famous General MLD is going to be on the show. Happy about that. And looking forward to do the show with him tonight and for future shows. Always been a big fan, a lot of respect. One of the first YouTube creators that was an Xbox guy during the time when YouTube was just getting out. So really happy to have him here. A lot of insight, and he knows what he's talking about. And he's a really good Xbox guy in the community. Very happy to have him join the show.
You're too kind, man. Thank you. Well, I mean,
and congratulations on your Euro thing. I saw the game. What happened at the end?
It went down
penalty shots.
But they were winning though 1-0, right? I thought it was like
England was winning 1-0. Italy tied it in the second half, and Italy just kind of after like the first 5 minutes of the game, Italy was just kind of. I mean, I don't want to sound like, too kind of one-sided, but I don't know. Italy just kind of dominated the game afterwards. Like, what do you want me to say?
The second half, they stepped it up the second half, and this penalty shots, they made it really theatrical. Like it came down to the last shot.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Good stuff by England. Good stuff by Italy. It was fun. It was a fun to watch, and it was a fun tournament overall. So yeah, no, that was good. But yeah, General MLD, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the Xbox Roundtable. And by the way, good content lately, buddy. I saw your video the other day. Love the passion. You keep that up, all right?
That's what it's about. Thank you.
Of course. Moving on here, Eric Shockley, buddy. Hey, what you been playing lately, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, lately I picked up that Scarlet Nexus. I was kind of contemplating waiting because I know that Tales of Arise, that looks pretty dope, is coming out soon, and there's so much to play, especially this month. Next week you have what was it, the Ascent dropping on Game Pass? So it's just like my backlog is already clogged up here. So but yeah, I picked it up with those 6,000 Microsoft points. They were always making that thing like an unbelievable deal. So grab that. That's been pretty cool. The combat's pretty awesome. I was surprised it doesn't have any, like your HDR won't. So there's no HDR, but like the colors really pop, even though it's not, clicking into the HDR settings in your TV. So I was kind of surprised at that type of game, especially with some of the colors. But the combat's been pretty cool. So that game's definitely, if you played any of the Persona games or any anime, there's a lot of anime isms in there. So if that kind of annoys you, maybe wait for a sale or wait for Game Pass. But otherwise, yeah, if you like any of the anime style or Persona, if you played any of those, it's pretty dope. But yeah, that's what I've been playing the past week or so. So definitely check it out. And I think there is a demo for it that's still available. So maybe download that and see if that's your cup of tea.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, you're always the first one to mention it, buddy, with like all the HDR popping out. I remember with Dead Space, with the HDR, you were talking about that too. And, it's, Xbox does some pretty impressive stuff when it comes to like backwards compatibility. And just even like, again, like when you're talking about the HDR stuff, just the tech, it's really amazing. Moving on here, we got Centurion, buddy. Hey, what have you been up to, brother?
Oh, man. What is up, everybody? It has been a crazy 48 hours. I've seen children crying, people losing their mind over soccer, and, of course, Tim Dog had to post a photo of Conor McGregor in his stub. What the heck, dude? I saw that photo pop up on Twitter, and I had to instantly put my phone down. Oh, my God. Anyways, so, yeah, it has been very interesting, Twitter, past few days. I've been watching a lot of people it's actually interesting to see Twitter losing its mind over other things other than gaming. But other than that, speaking of gaming, I've been kind of dabbling around in Conker's Bad Fur Day. Don't know why. And no, nice. I'm not playing the one that was given away for free. I'm playing it on Rare Replay. I'm not playing the remastered, like, Xbox One version. I mean, the original Xbox version, sorry. And then for some reason, I also got, like, it was like a shiny object. I discovered this skating game called Session, which is in game preview. And this is probably the most in-depth skating game I've ever played in my life. It's addicting, but also aggravating at the same time. It's not Tony Hawk, hold the trigger down, just zoom around. Literally, you have the A trigger is the right foot. The X trigger is the left foot. The control, like the joysticks, do not do anything for the camera or anything. You turn using the triggers. It's more like a skating simulator.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I remember that game from Creation.
Yeah, it's right now. It's in the Nacon sale that they have going on. Normally it's $20. It's on sale for $15 right now, but I mean, like, I literally spent 15 minutes trying to figure out how to grind a rail, because you have to move you have to make your character crouch down, then you got to pop the joysticks up to cause your character to ollie the board, and then you got to land it on the rail. I mean, like, it's not like Tony Hawk where it kind of helps you get to the rail. If you're left or right of the rail, you'll just go right past the rail. And you got to land on the rail, and you got to move the joysticks over to start balancing yourself as you go down the rail. And the cool part is it's like a full open New York City, and you can get off your skateboard. Like, you hit the Y button, you pop your skateboard up, and you're starting to run around.
Yeah, I know Charla's a big fan of this game, or he had a lot of it had a lot of potential. It was one of the games that ID at Xbox definitely had a lot of eyes on it. I'm just wondering, how are the graphics, and also, do you think the game really has a lot of potential? Because I remember for sure Charla was pretty big on it.
Before I bought it, I watched a couple reviews on YouTube of people that have been into the game for a while, keeping up with the updates. Some of these guys, I guess, played Skate real heavily. I didn't, and I guess the go-to game was Skate, and they're saying this is almost more in depth, and it shows a lot of potential. Yes, there's misspelled words that I've noticed in some of the menus, like it was telling you to use the left joystick when it was actually the right joystick. So it is definitely a game in preview, but in my opinion, the graphics look pretty clean for what it is. And don't get me, it's not a showpiece either. I mean, there was times I biffed my board and you would like watch the trucks actually clip into the concrete below. But I mean, I think it's more that they're trying to give people a very serious mechanic. They didn't want people to mistakenly, because there's a joke in the game when it's like, oh yeah, skate over here for 100 points, and you go over there, the guy's like, oh yeah, I lied. In this world, we don't give out points. There is no points in skating. It's more of an art. So that's where they really wanted people to get away from. You're not going to be trying to bust out combos and get all these points and stuff.
Wow.
Interesting. Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned earlier Conker's, Live and Reloaded.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. A game that I still wonder in my mind, would they be allowed to make a game this risque today?
No way.
No.
See, that's my whole thing. Everybody, we need a part two. We need a part two. I don't think the world can handle a part two with just how crazy it gets anymore.
Yeah, I don't think Microsoft wants that heat right now.
Well, they're pretty hesitant.
Version.
Like, look at what happened with the Project Spark Conker's. What was it? When they tried with that, they canceled it just because, I don't know. Well, then again, there was a couple of different things that were going on there, again, with Project Spark and so on. And, you know, they disbanded the Team Dakota. But I don't know. Like, I love Conker. Actually, for example, I did download and play the Conquer Live and Reload that we got for Games with Gold. It's a really good game. I mean, I own it anyway, so it's not a big deal. Plus, with Rare Replay, I have the original. But it's such a good game. Like, even, again, with Live and Reloaded, you boot it up, and, I mean, you know,
Some of the jokes today hold up. A lot of the I guess innuendos and all the stuff from like the 90s, and like it was pretty much a 90s game. So all the 90s cliche, like the Matrix, the Alien, I have been laughing the whole time at just how, like, in my mind, there's no way this game could be made today, especially at that moment you're putting a baby dinosaur on the sacrifice table, and you're like, man, I feel so wrong for what's about to go down.
Well, I'll be honest though, like, I mean, you look at what they did with Live and Reloaded when Rare just got bought by Xbox, and that game graphically still holds up. It's a beautiful game with all kinds of detail. Like, I would recommend it to anybody. I know, yeah, okay, you could say it's a little risque, but I mean,
I think
it's a fun game.
If anything, I think what they should kind of revisit is the teddy bears versus the squirrels. I think they really hit some gold there, especially during the multiplayer in Conker's Bad Fur Day. I remember having all my friends come over and we'd sit there on Nintendo 64 and you'd have the squirrels versus the teddy bears and just these huge death matches. And I just think that'd be just like an awesome little small, just multiplayer game, free to play, that people could go in and just have this run amok. I mean, there was tons of fun playing squirrels versus teddy bears, at least for me.
Well, the issue is Rare doesn't want to go back to their old IP. Seemingly, they just want to move on. I mean, again, you look at Banjo, Conker, so it's going to have to be another studio. I mean, I know we've heard some studio rumblings recently. Of course, Nine Lives there in the chat says it's acquisition season. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. I mean, acquisitions are probably coming, but they need some developers for these games. I would love to see them revisit Conker, but we'll have to wait and see, boys. I mean,
it's acquisition season. We see all these game developers out in the grass trying to hide. Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, all the other guys are scoping them out.
Oh no, a Rare studio has appeared. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I really like that game, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Anyways, guys, let's kick off today's show by talking about some PlayStation news, actually. Because there's been a bit of that, and over the past, well, I guess 2 weeks, we've seen announcements of studio acquisitions from PlayStation. The first being Returnal developer Housemarque, and the second being, well, more of a PC porting specialist studio, Nixxes. With hints of more to come, because there's some other stuff there. I think Sony Japan, PlayStation Japan tweeted something out a little too early, but we'll get into that. General MLD, buddy, I'll start this off. I'll kick things off with you, bud. What do you think of PlayStation's pickups? Do they rival Xbox's at all?
Oh, I think we know the answer to that. It's a small thing. I do get it. Like, they don't have the money to to compete on Xbox's level. So the PR, the guys, they got their thing where they just say, oh, it's a smaller developer because it's just us cultivating relationships. Like Xbox doesn't do that, but whatever. I digress here. It's just, I feel like it's not a big loss for us because Housemarque hasn't made a Xbox game since the 360 era, where they made like a golf game for Xbox Live Arcade. And the last game was a launch game for the PS4?
Resogun, yeah.
Thank you. That's the game. So I feel like they take a long time between releases anyway. So I wouldn't even see these guys as like a heavy hitter. These guys are a small mid-tier developer. I'm sure they got some quirky new games that are very unique, which is nice. And obviously the Metacritic score, it reviews well. But this isn't by no means a game changer for Housemarque. And besides, Returnal was very polarizing. Like, your stance on the roguelike genre, you either love it or you hate it. I'm the kind of guy, I don't like losing my progress if I die, especially if the game crashes and there's no way to get back in the game, like quick resume, you know. But Nixxes, that's even more interesting because it's just counterintuitive to what all the PlayStation fans want. They all want they pride themselves for generations that all the PS exclusives are on only one place, and that's the PlayStation consoles. And now Sony, they're just going against the grain here. They got a developer that specializes in PC ports, so they're ramping up their efforts, turning all their exclusives one by one into multiplats essentially. And the kicker is, for me, is that they're inferior versions. You see, with Xbox, it's cross-play, cross-buy, cross-play, whatever. All the cross stuff is with Xbox. But with this one, with PlayStation, you got to buy it twice. There's no trophy support. There's no cross anything. So it's just a half-assed port job, one game at a time, years later. I don't know. I just see Sony losing their culture now. They're just following Xbox, albeit at a snail's pace. So when Sony's following Xbox, when Sony's following Microsoft's business moves, you know this generation is going to be different. If Xbox is leading the way with these new initiatives, like the aggressive PC expansion. So that's my take. These acquisitions, it just tells you where the wind is blowing, because if you can't, they can't match Bethesda, and everyone knows it. So this is the best they can do. So yeah, sorry for that rant, but that's what I think. I'm not impressed.
Well said.
Mm-hmm. No. Well said. Like Tim said, personally, I think they make a lot of sense, these acquisitions for them, especially Housemarque. In recent years, they've had a lot of experience with each other. They've worked closely, obviously, with Returnal, Resogun, and I mean, they're a pretty decent developer overall. I mean, like you said, MLD, Returnal, again, it's a very hit or miss game. But Nixxes is a very interesting too, just for the fact that, again, they mostly do like porting jobs. So I'll be curious to see what they do with a lot of PlayStation older IP, and if they plan on doing some remakes and whatnot, or bringing them to the PC. Because right now Xbox is killing them on crossplay and PC front and so many other things that PlayStation, like, again, this is a very defensive move from PlayStation, in my opinion. Are they good moves? Yes, I think they make sense in a lot of ways, but is this counteracting Xbox's moves within the past year? I mean, I think it's a little bit of a nudge, and this is healthy for the industry. Again, you look at what would you say is a bigger deal? I mean, Xbox getting Bethesda, like all the ZeniMax studios, or Sony getting a couple of these smaller studios? I mean, Microsoft made the bigger splash overall. So in a way, Sony's playing catch up, right? So,
But I think it's also a factor that, I mean, as evidenced by the Steam charts, like Horizon Zero Dawn, it's on the Steam charts here and there, but you always got games like MCC, Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 4. They're always above it. And even Days Gone, I don't even see Days Gone anymore. That game just fell off the charts. And I think that speaks to a larger issue that Sony has in that they only really specialize in the single-player games. Because these Steam charts, Xbox games, they specialize in long-lasting, addictive multiplayer loop games like Halo and Sea of Thieves and Forza. Because Sony, it's like a forgotten art with them. It's like a lost technology. Now they're like that much more behind. These games cannot really last on the Steam charts on PC because they are single-player focused, and that they came years later. Most people, chances are, played it on a PlayStation. So that's also a massive hurdle for them to jump over. This lack of multiplayer centric focus.
They've never been multiplayer focused. If you really look at it, the original PlayStation 2 was the first on the scene with LAN capabilities, and now all of a sudden, but if we look at the design of the PlayStation 2, that was an add-on proverbial that you had to go buy and install on the back of the PS2, where the original OG Xbox came out of the box ready to be hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I'm listening to you guys talk, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a Sony fan right now, I probably hate us right now, and probably think, wow. The reason why I probably hate you is because what we're saying right now is absolutely the truth. I mean, whether you like it or not, you know, what we're talking about is the truth. The truth is that these are deals that are counterintuitive to what the Sony bragatory fan, or whatever you want to call it, the fanboy wants. They want a dedicated device that only serves PlayStation and PlayStation only. So Nixxes, right off the bat, is going to port games to PC. It's going to be older generation IPs, whether it's The Last of Us 2, or if it's Tomb Raider, Uncharted 4. Those are the games that are going to be coming, and you're basically going to have to pay twice if you want to play it. Where with Xbox, you have cross-buy, cross-progression. You buy the game once, you get it in two different locations. 3, if you consider, if you have Xbox Live Ultimate, you can play it on the cloud, which could be on your Surface or it could be on your phone. So yeah, they are at a snail's pace behind Xbox, and to me, these are just moves that are going to generate them money, but they're not pushing a fun, initiative forward. They're pushing an initiative that's going to get them more money. Now, for the Sony fan, that's a Sony fan right now, is if this keeps up. And the way the trajectory, the way Xbox is going when these games really start to land, I could see a kind of a shift there, because I just, like General said, this generation it's starting off in a different way last generation did. You could see where this is going. But the fact is that we're not talking to belittle the Sony or whatever, or put them down. This is actually the truth that they're saying. A lot of the things that they've been pushing lately, whether it's $70 games for games that are questionable like Returnal, or PlayStation All-Stars that they went down to, or just putting them, a mandatory mark on games that sometimes can be just single player only.
The Ghost of Tsushima debacle that's going on right now.
Yeah, that went on with that. This director cut thing where it's obviously they're just trying to, nickel and dime their IPs and get the most out of their IPs. And you look at the way that they're treating, like, indie developers, and the stuff that's been said about how they haven't, been getting much love there. It's kind of obvious where Sony's coming from. Whereas if you look with Xbox where they're going, it's a lot more excitement there. And the crazy thing is that you know that you're going to be getting these games day and date on Game Pass. You're going to have cross-buy if you buy them. There's so many options. There's so much value, and there's so much cost saving. Now, you could say, oh, Game Pass is cheap, this and that. Listen, $1's a dollar. People, if they get the chance to play games for free, that's a huge deal, okay? Especially when it's Halo and stuff like that. And to one more point, I'll let you go, Centurion. It's true too. They have multiplayer games like Grounded. They have games like Halo coming out that's going to have a full-on multiplayer. They have Sea of Thieves, which is going on strong, hitting #1. They have Forza Horizon 4. Now, Forza Horizon 5, their multiplayer is going to be huge. Where is Sony's multiplayer games? Give me one. Give me one in the next 2 years that's going to be something that's really comparable to what I just gave to you. And this is like, we don't look at Sony problems, or the media doesn't, but that is there is a deficit there. Do they have, what do they have? Maybe factions coming that was supposedly free for Last of Us, but now you're going to pay for it? With Xbox, you're getting a full-on multiplayer that looks absolutely crazy, and you're getting a full campaign for either, you could say, Game Pass or $60 cross-buy. Just the numbers are there, the truth of the matter is there, the value proposition is there. And to finalize my point about the acquisitions, it's nice what they're doing, but it just points to them basically. Their game plan is definitely not as robust as Xbox is looking, and they can make all the comments that they want. Herman said, "We're just not getting studios for the sake of it," which is kind of a shot, I thought. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? Because you could take a developer like Ninja Theory, or any of these guys' Compulsion. They can make an unbelievable game. You never know with developers. And I feel like Xbox, their idea of the future is to really bulk up and give us gamers who are Xbox an embarrassment of riches of games, where we just like to the point where we're like, I can't keep up, or this is insane, and that's going to happen. So, like I said, that's my point. I know this is Xbox centric podcast, but those are the fact of the matters. Is I do see with Sony, I just don't see them keeping up right now, and I just don't appreciate the comments that they're making, or these little snide comments like, throwing money around and all this stuff. Why don't you save a little money for your fans and maybe announce an E3 or something?
Mm-hmm.
To add on to what Tim Dog was saying real quick at the middle of the Game Pass thing, technically Microsoft, Xbox, whoever created this ad is already knocking on Sony's door just very subtly. And all the articles read, the new Game Pass, the new xCloud ad or whatever, it has a PlayStation controller playing xCloud. And that's all they could talk about. And the thing is, now it's subliminally in the back of the mind of each PlayStation user that when they're standing there without a game to play, for only $1, they can take that controller and go check out Game Pass and what Microsoft has to offer. And that's where it starts. And honestly, I think maybe even Sony's a little concerned at the fact that Microsoft has really been kind of out there grinding hard, trying to figure out what to do, this, that, and the other. They've really found their North Star when it comes to the direction they're wanting to really take the Xbox brand. And honestly, it's I don't know why people get so butthurt because Microsoft was able to afford Bethesda. Look, when you go out there and you grind every single day and you work your butt off and you try to do what you can, Phil Spencer did that. He turned the Xbox brand into a whole new direction in a way none of us could really see coming. Honestly, why are we all butthurt over the fact that somebody who went out there and got their grind on was able to do something so as grand as buy Bethesda because they earned it. Therefore, I don't know what people really have to be butthurt about.
Sorry,
PlayStation's been sitting in the background, huh?
No, you're making a great point. And honestly, that's why I came off with that little rant with a lot of you're speaking to what I feel, and it's like what it's like we can't, the Xbox it was only okay when they could make fun of them with no games and belittle their fans, but now when they do something like this, it's like, oh, big business, big corporations, too big. Oh, we're the smaller guys, or they're playing a small market deal, and or the narratives that people try to come up with to combat this shit is just crazy. And it's just, you're speaking to the way I feel, Centurion, and well said. Just keep on going on with your point. Sorry to interrupt,
it's just one of those things.
It's true.
It is true. Well, let's bring it down to a personal level. You work, think about it. Somebody who works 8 hours a day and you work 9-10 hours a day, you're willing to put in more time, more effort than the other guy. Why the hell do you not deserve more than the other guy? I mean, you're working harder. You've probably got more money. You've got more time in it. You've probably got more friends in the industry. Bethesda was friends with Xbox. You can't really just make it sound like Xbox walked in there, threw some money on the table, and bought a bunch of people they didn't know.
Yeah, Morrowind was
Centurion.
Huh?
Hey, Centurion. No, Xbox cultivated. They grew these. What do you call it? Or they organically grew their relationship with Bethesda over the years, as Todd Howard said. Because look at it, Guerrilla, one of their best studios right now. Wait, did they organically grow that? No, they acquired them right after they made one game for them, Killzone. Then they acquired them. They had just made a multiplat that had released just 2 months before, and Eidos at the time was looking to potentially buy them before Sony stepped in and made the offer. So they could have still been making third-party games and been picked up, because there were other suitors in that market that would have kept the multiplat, and then hey, we would have got Horizon Zero Dawn on all platforms. But hey, that didn't happen. So it's like, all the other studios are, Playground. The only one you maybe say is like Ninja Theory, but I mean, obviously they've worked together in the past, and if obviously that a lot of these devs are joining because they feel like, hey, they have somewhat of a mutual relationship. They have a good understanding of each other. Even the Double Fine had made exclusives for original Xbox and worked with Microsoft, so they all had past partnerships, and so I don't know, it's just that whole organic, they just Sony creates, Microsoft takes is the biggest BS I've ever heard. Especially that
it's just, sorry to interrupt, Shaq. I know I'm a little talkative tonight, but it reminds me.
No, you're good.
It reminds me of, like, in baseball, like, it's like the small market versus big market argument, like where the small market says, well, we can't compete with this big market. They're like trying to make that argument, and it's like, all you do is brag about how you sell 100 million consoles and how many sales, and you throw it in everyone's face, and everyone does backflips, but the same people doing backflips aren't getting an E3 yet. They still haven't gotten. People are pretending that a State of Play is going to announce a game show. Listen, they should have something for their fans. I think that they will, but it's like, Xbox keeps doing all grinding, like Centurion's saying, and they're doing this. They're giving fans games basically for free or whatever your subscription costs, and they're doing absolute things that are just, super consumer friendly, and you see a lot of people try to shoot it down, and it's just going to come to a point where you got to just say, hey man, they're just kicking ass. And I think we're getting very close to that point. Gas is going to start to kick off. You're going to have Flight Sim, Ascent, a lot of games coming and throughout the year, and then the end of the year, forget about it. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's just I agree with what you guys are saying. Like these comments or whatever, the way their take, it's like a pity. It's like they're asking for pity. It just rubs me the wrong way because listen, I get it. They don't have the money to throw around that Xbox can do, but you know what? They still have a fighter's chance, and they could still do something. That's equivalent to Game Pass, and probably, they're probably gonna have to copy what Xbox does on a lot of things because, quite frankly, it's kind of getting to the point where it's, you're drawing a proposition where you're getting way too much for a little amount of money, and people are catching on now. And once that happens,
yeah, and look at the PS Plus collection. Do you think you would have gotten that if Game Pass never existed? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a nice, hey, we need to add value and bolster PS Plus because this Game Pass thing is catching on. And that was a great boost for a lot of people that bought a PS5 and they had, oh, cool, I have this collection of games I haven't got to try.
You started
So,
giving games away for free first in their service. Was it PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Games with gold or PlayStation?
And then Xbox caught on. Now they never really caught on to match quite the value, but they started doing that because PS Plus was doing it first.
Now, did you? No,
too. Go on.
Oh no, sorry. I was about to say, Tim. Now there was a bit of an oopsie from PlayStation Japan. I don't know if anybody noticed this. They uploaded an image welcoming Dark Souls, the remake developer Bluepoint, to PlayStation Studios, but then they retracted it. Do you guys think we'll be hearing about them joining PlayStation sometime soon?
It's weird because on the Twitter page of Bluepoint, they said that they're fully independent game developer. So I don't know now. I mean, it may seem like negotiations fell through if they're saying that, or maybe it's just a simple deflection because it's not official yet. Negotiations are still ongoing. That's probably my guess is that Sony their PR just jumped the gun. Like, I guess they just counted their chickens before they hatched kind of thing. So if it is going to happen, I think they're going to save it for maybe later in the year. But if it is official, I think it's a good pickup because there's a lot of money to be made in nostalgia and making the old seem new again. So that would actually be a pretty good, impressive pickup if that's true. But it's just weird the way it all went down. Like maybe Bluepoint was insulted that Sony jumped the gun on it. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Because again, it was pretty much official, but then again, they had to retract it. Bluepoint's pretty much solidifying that, hey, we're still an independent developer. I'm assuming maybe they're waiting for a certain date. I don't know if they have another like PlayStation State of Play coming up soon. Maybe they talked about a certain date. Obviously, somebody in the PR, the marketing got something wrong there, but
it's not the only thing they've had to retract in the past few days.
Oh, the ad upside down.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
They tend to do that a lot. Remember all those YouTube videos where it's like it will say it's coming to PC or it's just console exclusive, and people are like, "Oh, it's coming to PC." They had it in there, the trailer, or it doesn't say only on PlayStation in the trailer or whatever on the YouTube ads. So I guess we chalked those up to mistakes, even though it's like I don't know how that slips through. Like, how do you put up the wrong studio?
Yeah,
I mean, I personally think that there's probably talking, and maybe they jumped the gun a little. But I also totally think that it's completely possible that it was a mistake, and maybe some crossed lines over there, or whatever the case may be. But Bluepoint makes sense for them because, again, they want to leverage their IP, their big games. They don't want to take risks as well, or you want to say they want to take risks, whatever. But it seems like they want to go with sure things, and Bluepoint is a perfect developer to remake their unbelievable suite. They have so many of their IPs that they can do. So I do think that it's I would say it's 40-60 that it's going to happen, to be honest. I lean towards the fact that they updated their Twitter and there hasn't been any other talk about this since. But I do feel like they are cultivating a relationship. They probably have an exclusive coming. And kind of like with Insomniac, if that exclusive, again, is a huge hit, which probably will, because they're good at making games. There's no doubt about it. I do come off very negative towards Sony a lot of times, but I definitely give them respect where respect due. They are great game makers, and they do a great job in that aspect. And Blue Point makes a lot of sense. I just wouldn't, like I said on the RDX, and I think Broken Gamer was like, "Nah, man, it's done." Like you can't count your eggs before they hatch. Even with Xbox, I remember even Xbox guys, like Xbox executives, they were waiting. They were worried till the end. They wanted to close that Bethesda deal because anything could have anything could have just popped up at the end. If you guys remember, there was a report that there was a guy suing Bethesda and that it could hold up the acquisition, and that was like in the later days of the last few days of
that lawsuit.
Yes, but like those are the things, like, believe it or not, there was they were holding their breath, not because of that, just in general, because you never know. You had Europe or whatever. They voted on it, and so did I believe they approved it. I don't know what the commission was, but it's not. Anything can happen. I think right now they're probably in the negotiating point of a phase, but for them to put that up on the Twitter probably means that they're talking, but nothing's done. So I expect when they come out with the next exclusive and it does very well, that it probably then they would hammer it home.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, it really doesn't affect Xbox fans because we weren't getting any of these games anyway. A lot of Insomniac wasn't making games other than Sunset Overdrive, but then they started making games for Sony, and we weren't seeing it on our Xbox platform. Whereas where it hurts Sony guys is that Bethesda, huge publisher, all their games now, which were on Sony, and people loved, are now pretty much gone. And you also had like Hellblade, huge game that I remember Sony guys were going crazy over making a big deal out of it, though that Xbox didn't have it. And then the list goes on, but it is what it is. But I think Blue Point would be a big acquisition, much bigger than the two that they just made.
Mm-hmm. Now, I need to mention this because we're talking about PlayStation news. A few days ago, Sony had their latest State of Play show, and we saw some pretty cool indie games. I mean, I like some of the stuff, such as Fist. I thought it was pretty cool. We got a new trailer for, Death Stranding Director's Cut, but a large portion of the show was dedicated to Deathloop. Now, like MLD, I'll go to you on this one again. What do you think of an Xbox studio and IP getting the limelight at the PlayStation show of all things?
I think it's first and foremost very tone deaf on corporate Sony's part. This is not what like the fans who go on gaming sites, forums, Twitter, social media in general talk about gaming. These guys are your loudest, most vocal fans who will cheerlead your brand for free. And this is not what they want to see or hear about because it gives them no ammo. It's like tainted ammo. You can't be bragging about an Xbox Studios game on a State of Play. It just like, it gives too much room for people to just tear apart your comments and just make you a laughing stock. So it's just, I find that Sony just, they don't really know. I don't think they even care what their community thinks. They just want to do what they want to do, whether or not it makes sense to the gamers themselves. Because it's really funny because they thought that they pulled a fast one over Xbox by getting this time exclusive deal, and then Xbox just goes and buys the whole damn publisher. So now this whole thing is like, oh, okay, you're just going to give us free advertising for our own game. No, we'll just play it on Game Pass next year when it expires. Okay, thanks a lot. And it's like funny, PlayStation gamers, they buy this game. It's like they're doing their part. Everyone has their place. Everyone, let's help pay back that $7.5 billion. Let's give Xbox some of our own money. So it's just too many ways you can make fun of them for it. So, and on a side note with the indies, I think the indies was in many ways actually a response to all the negative PR about all the indies complaining.
Yes.
But my take on this is that it's just too little, too late, because of all the indie games that they did show. Imagine all the indie games that were not shown and will never have a voice. And ultimately, showing these indie games, it doesn't address the actual problem, which is indies having a really hard time communicating and discounting their games and really just being able to have creative autonomy with how they handle their own games on PlayStation Marketplace. Like, that's the real core problem. And shoving a few indie games in people's faces, that's not going to take away from that. It's like a smoke screen. It's just, yeah, it's just not. It doesn't address the core issues. So overall, that state of play, it left a lot to be desired. It left way too much room to be mocked. And in the end, it didn't. They didn't put their best foot forward in that. They should have put a first-party game, or at least a timed exclusive third-party that is not coming to Xbox. They should have done something to give their own fans something to be happy about, something to brag about, without fear of being just being dogpiled by all the laughing Xbox gamers. So that's my take. I thought it was a missed opportunity on more than a few levels.
Well, I thought the missed opportunity was that they didn't announce look, Xbox had an unbelievable E3 and they own that week, and I have, they've done very well. I mean, they're selling out everywhere anyway, but there was a lot of attention paid to Xbox that week, and they own that week. I don't know strategically why Sony would not want to have a show, or kind of maybe even you can announce a show 2 months in advance. There's nothing wrong with that. Xbox has done that in with XO. They've done that. Obviously they've done that with saying they're going to attend E3 and all this stuff 3 months before. So I just kind of I don't know. It just mystifies me. I've been an Xbox fan, and I've been to 6 Xbox Fan Fests. I've been to 6 E3s. Next year, I will definitely be going to E3. I definitely will be, God willing, and everything goes well, I will be at the Xbox conference. And that is afforded to me because we are a community, and people know who I am. Obviously, I'm not bragging, but they know their fans, and I just don't see that same interaction with Sony. I kind of just feel like they just, they just missed the ball on that. So for me, that was the biggest miss. I didn't think that them showing off the games was that bad or whatever. But I do think that shouldn't they get their due?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a clear lack of communication between the executives and the gamers. Whereas, I feel like we take it for granted, just how much Phil Spencer or Aaron Greenberg or Major Nelson reaches out to just people on Twitter. I think that's just a major advantage that we have that level of transparency.
No, totally agree. I'll be curious to see if they have another show in the next couple of weeks. Again, we still don't know what their big game is towards the end of the year. Obviously, Deathloop is the timed exclusive that we're talking about. It comes out September 14th, I believe. I'd be curious to see where Horizon Forbidden West fits in, if it's even coming out this year. They're kind of vague on some release dates. So we got, Xbox has Forza Horizon 5 coming out. They have Halo Infinite coming out sometime later on as well. And, as well as a bunch of other titles through some third parties. So, I mean, they need to show something. especially with what Xbox showed a few weeks ago. So totally agree with you guys on that. Just before we move on here, Dirt Griggity with the $5 super chat. Hey there, buddy. Great to see you from the We Bleed Green podcast. What's up, TXR? I love when Uncle Tim Dog tells it like it is. Well, who doesn't? Tim's a pretty passionate fella, and, I mean, we're just, dropping truth bombs here. Some people may not like that, but, we're just telling it like it is. So, too bad. But, guys, we will move on from the PlayStation news. Again, I mean, I think that all those acquisitions and whatnot, they do make sense for PlayStation. They already have a pretty good stable of studios there. But either way, as far as if it counters Xbox, no, I mean, it's hard to really beat the whole ZeniMax Bethesda acquisition. That's going to be something talked throughout the ages, throughout the years. So they better be enjoying those timed exclusives over the next few months, and then after that, bye-bye. All right, guys, moving on. There's been a general question hanging around about Xbox Live Gold that we talked about a few months back, with more services going free. There's a wonder of when Xbox is going to sunset the membership, the Gold membership altogether. And according to journalist Jeff Grubb recently, Xbox is waiting for Game Pass numbers to catch up before dropping Gold, which, I mean, I think it makes sense. But, Tim, we've chatted about this again a few times before over the past year. Do you think, as Grubb is suggesting, that Microsoft is waiting to reach maybe a certain threshold with Game Pass numbers before ending Gold?
It's tough, but I'm going to say logically, I'm thinking this in my head. The way they act, listen, the whole thing when they doubled the price of Xbox Gold, that did not make any sense to me. And the way they just kind of quickly took it away and said, well, it'll be the same price. Listen, if I'm running Xbox and I'm running Xbox Division, I understand that you have to if you have two revenue streams like you do, they have now, you have to come to a point where one revenue stream is stronger than the other. So the first portion of this question is that yes, it does have to happen if they're going to do this, that Game Pass is out, outperforming Xbox Live Gold. The second thing is that if you look at what they say, what they want, and if you really want to be a competitor in this field and try to take things back, and I think that's kind of their mindset. They want to take they want to take some market back from Sony. You got to make the move. Basically, you put Game Pass on a pedestal next year. When Starfield comes out, you're at that point probably where you could say, you have Halo hit and you'll have all those subs in Game Pass, and you'd be in a real prime spot. The fact is that the paywall is not as much as it used to be. Most of the games are free to play, like Grubb said. And you look at things where if they do that, they really put they put Sony behind the eight ball 100%, and it makes them really attractive to look at. And what I do feel like if you do that, what's basically going to happen is that people not necessarily going to say, I'm stop paying for anything. They're just going to go to Game Pass, because Game Pass in itself is saving so much money that at that point, you're going to have so much momentum. You're going to have Starfield exclusively hitting the service. You're going to have xCloud getting bigger and bigger, that people are just going to want to have the Game Pass just like they wanted Xbox Live Gold when it was essential. The games for Gold has been absolute crap, and that to me tells me that they're losing interest in it. And I would say that, yeah, I do think that they're probably talking about it, but it just makes too much sense Xbox Live Gold is redundant right now. If you get rid of that, you put even more of a focus on Game Pass. And basically what you want Game Pass to be is you want the everyday person, the casual, to just say something like this. Oh, I get Xbox because of the Game Pass. There's so many games on it. And I tell my dad that, and my dad knows that, and soccer mom Judy knows that. And they really understand the value of what's going on. And when it becomes where you don't think about it, where it's just known, and I think they're getting pretty close, that's when Game Pass is going to really get really dangerous. Like you're talking about adding 20 million subs in a year. And I think next year is the year that they can do it. And I think that part of that could be like holiday to announce it. Say we are doing away with gold. You'll be able to play your online games, for free. But we have this thing called Game Pass, and honestly, I'm going to say it's going to happen, and I think that it's a smart move. It really gives them. I think that if you look at this gen, and if they do that type of move and they drop Starfield, and Starfield's what we all think it's going to be, that's going to be the real turnaround. That's going to be the point where Sony's going to get pressured, and they're going to have to start to think of how we're going to combat some of this stuff.
I would like to add too that, Halo Infinite, again, it seems to be coming out at the end of this year with a free-to-play multiplayer. With that dropping, and then the campaign is going into Game Pass itself, the numbers I would imagine would be a huge, just skyrocketing. And I could see Halo Infinite, I could just see it being a huge turning point for, again, the whole free-to-play. Again, it's not behind a paywall by any means. It's not restricted by gold. I could just see so many people trying it out, and and that could be a really great incentive for Microsoft to just be like, you know what, this could be a really big turning point for us to really look towards removing gold, period, and just setting up Game Pass as the de facto, I don't want to say membership, but just the de facto service going forward. Again, we got Starfield coming out, but yeah, go ahead, Shock.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, just starting in the next few months, once Back 4 Blood hits, I think that's gonna be a big boost. Then you're gonna have Forza, which is gonna be this huge, amazing spectacle of a game as we've seen. Halo hitting, and then you got Plague's Tale, the second one, hitting day one, and then you're gonna have Redfall, probably early spring, early summer, and then you're gonna have Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Starfield all in the same year. So in this next year, you're going to have hit after hit coming. Stalker. Yeah, like Stalker 2. We're still supposed to get scoring this year. Hopefully Crossfire X hits, even though we still have not heard a peep out of that since it was supposed to drop last December. So hopefully in this next year from now, that's dropping. Like if all of that hits and then unannounced third-party drops that we haven't heard from, that will probably happen.
Well,
like this next year, 12 months is going to really probably show some major growth.
Keep in mind, Shock, too. You listed off quite a few games there, and that's good. But they have such a you can tell that there was a lot of purpose with choosing the games that they did getting into the service and who they partnered with, because there's a nice variety of games there, like you just listed off. Scorn. Obviously there's a whole ton of others, but games that even come to mind too. It's because obviously Warhammer Vermintide 2 did extremely well in Game Pass. The co-op.
Forgot about that one.
So
that
then
one looks pretty sick.
Yeah. The Dark Tide is the next one, and we're still waiting on a date for that. That's going to be huge. All these different co-op games.
Yeah, they said 2022, I believe.
Oh, did they? I didn't catch that.
I think they gave a year. I'm pretty sure.
But they're very strategic, though, in what they've chosen here, and it make a lot of sense to have all these big co-op games too, just available in Game Pass. and they're really trying to leverage their services, like the multiplayer end, and just showing their strength overall, and just leveraging the community. I think it's very interesting. You see the two companies competing, whether it be Sony, Microsoft, PlayStation, Xbox, and just like the different ways that they're going about this gen. And I just think that Microsoft and Xbox is being very proactive.
Take off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the S might take off a lot more than people think. Like initially, it was a lot shorter in supply from the day ones, and it just seemed like, oh, who's gonna want that? It's gonna be lesser. But it's really, from what I'm seeing from a lot of casual gamers, are like, oh yeah. And one of my friends that's a hardcore gamer, he was like, yeah, for now I'll get the S because the X you just can't get it, and he was satisfied with the S for now. And he's getting playing all the same games, taking a lot of advantage of a lot of the features, quick resume. You still get all that. And he's playing on a 1440p monitor. So he's still getting basically his best picture anyway. I think for that thing's going to kick off when you have all these Bethesda, all these other Xbox Studio games just hitting day one. And this next year, like starting 2022 and on. And that price will probably drop from 300. That's going to be like consumers are definitely going to be looking at in Game Pass like, wow, this is a ridiculous deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think next November, like holiday 2022, I think that's will be like when I think the big factor is when supply will no longer be limited. Like you'll be able to walk into a store and see, like an Xbox readily available. I think that will be like the big holiday combined with Starfield, all the other games, and to tie back into gold. I'd say if there was a time to remove gold, that would be the time when the supply levels off, when Starfield's going to drop. That would be the time, because I think it would just create this massive shift. It's ironic. Xbox, they were the first ones to do paid multiplayer, and now they'll be the first ones. They'll be the only ones, in theory, if they do this, to have it free in all regards. And that'll just be like a big factor that'll get a lot of guys to switch over. It'll be a big boost for everyone on social media to just shout to the rooftops. It's just and also Sony can't match that.
A lot of people.
Wait, what?
It would convert a lot of people for 100%.
Oh yeah,
and that's the thing. That's the reason why I say that they're going to do it, because their mission statement is not how many consoles that they sold, it's how many people are on their service, on their servers, on their cloud, using the things that they produce. And the best way to get to do that is to make it free. And you know what? It'll benefit Game Pass. It'll benefit the people. You would probably take General said, you would take back market. You would it would be a shift move. I mean, it'd be huge. And I, like you were just saying before I interrupted, I've been very talkative today. I'm sorry about that, guys, but been grinding for tests and haven't really been even thinking about video games or Xbox. I've been just very busy. It would be a momentum move. It would be a needle pusher. It would be something that honestly it just makes too much sense. And, just in 5 years, I think anyway, it's going to happen anyway. But what I really like about it is that you just, when you make that proposition of everything that Xbox is offering, and like Sony is just like, oh yeah, well, we offer unbelievable first party, games, single player, story narrative. Like, yeah, that's great and stuff, but Xbox has that too. They have RPGs, they have everything else, but the proposition's so much cheaper and it's so much more, open to just gaming. And I just think that would be a huge shift. And if any of the Xbox guys are listening, or sometimes they do listen to these shows, it just makes too much sense. I remember even talking about it with Mike at the time when Mike was in the company, and he was kind of giving me the, it was like 2019. He was giving me the other side of the coin, but I think Mike, to be honest, I think I made some points to Mike, and I think that, I find Xbox Live Gold redundant right now, and yeah, you might take a little bit of a hit. Your revenue stream might take a little bit of a hit for the first month or 2 months or 3 months, but the amount of kickback, the amount of people that would start jumping onto your ecosystem will more than enough repay you, in tenfold.
I think the best part is that Microsoft, they're in a position to take the hit, whereas Sony cannot replicate this whatsoever, because PlayStation Plus, that's their bread and butter, and PlayStation Now is at 3 million subscribers more or less, so they can't do what Xbox can do, and even then, yeah, the hit will be massive. PlayStation Plus is a amazing value relative to Xbox Live Gold. I'm not going to deny that, but the idea is that if people in the end of the day are still only subbing to it because it's mandatory for online multiplayer. You take that away, you can give as many free games as you want for PS Plus. It's not going to be the same. Sony's kind of backed into a corner, because unless they really ramp up PlayStation Now advertising and want to get their subs up too as fast as possible, they can't take the hit. They got to keep PS Plus mandatory multiplayer. Whereas I think Xbox, they're kind of working towards it, slow as it may be, but when they get there, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have basically reiterated what I was just going to say too. Like, can Sony really pivot back to being a free service, since they went for the paid online, and just to counter Xbox's potentially like free online services? I don't know. It's going to be interesting in the coming months and the coming year where everything goes. And I don't know. I like the competitiveness of Xbox right now. Like, this is a very healthy industry right now when you think about it, guys. Xbox is acquiring and building studios, even internally too. I mean, you look at them putting up World's Edge there for Age of Empires, and just again acquiring big and small studios, and even just where they're taking their services. I'm very impressed with them, and to see Sony again countering with so many different things right now, and expanding their studios and whatnot. Again, it's just very telling. And then you got Nintendo, which put an OLED screen on their latest edition. So there's that. But we'll see where this road goes for Xbox Live. Just again, it's interesting that a few journalists in the know are mentioning this, and I look forward to the coming months. All right, on that note, fellas, I think we'll move on to some other bits of news. And just over a week, Studio The Coalition confirmed that they'll be showing off a technical demo of Unreal Engine 5 running on the Xbox Series X. The Coalition makes some of the best use of the Unreal Engine, at least in my opinion anyways, in recent years. I mean, the Gears of War 4 and 5 games, they're absolutely stunning, to say the least. But what's interesting is that there's rumors of this demo that they're doing actually being a new IP, using it as a project for the studio to familiarize themselves with Unreal Engine 5. Now, Shockley, buddy, would the Coalition take a bit of a break from Gears to start a new experimental IP? Do you think that they'd really be able to do that, or do you think they're just gonna focus on Gears, just period?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I feel like now obviously they have so many studios, they don't need to drop it during E3. But I just feel like if it was like a real big new IP, then they'd probably do it during that E3. If it was ready to, maybe it wasn't ready to show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe they're bring back with some of that original, because games sometimes go on hiatus. Like the game Neo was first showed off back in the PS3 days, like PS3 launch days.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're going back to, remember they had that maybe it was just like a tech demo at the Xbox One announcement with when they were like the Black Tusk games.
Yeah, Black Tusk. You're talking about Shanghai.
Yeah, maybe they're want to revisit some of that and then take that into Unreal Engine 5 and adapt on whatever, who knows how much they had going already before that kind of got scrapped or tossed to the side for Gears. So maybe something like that. Yeah, I if I thought they were going to do a tech demo, I wouldn't think they would be doing a whole new IP. Myself, I would think they would say, hey, because this way you could actually show the differences. That's what would be good, to actually take like Gears like 5 and like, hey, here's kind of like how they did with the Hive Busters DLC. Take something like that. Here's a new slice or DLC for it, but now this is all on Unreal Engine 5. Oh, holy shit. Let me compare this with the, Gears 5 or Hive Busters, and like, damn, now you can actually see the differences, and they might get you on that selling point, maybe. But I mean, there's been rumors, like I think Jeff, I think he was just speculating before when he was saying maybe, that someone said something about maybe the Mandalorian, maybe it's them making that game, or if that wasn't, I remember that was kind of a rumor going around, possibly like a Mandalorian game made by one of the Bethesda or possibly Coalition, because hopefully they're working on something new. But I would expect them to maybe take a break. That'd be awesome if they took a break between Gears 5 and Gears 6 and just let that breathe just a little bit. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you get the argument. You get the argument from people that, again, studios like 343 Industries and the Coalition, they're built for the fact that I mean, they're just supposed to be controlling one IP mainly. I mean, okay, the Coalition, I mean, technically they were Black Tusk before they were the Coalition, before they got the Gears IP. But, I mean, the fact remains that they're still the Gears studio. And that's a big IP to control, right? Because now you got Gears Tactics.
I think that's a little different for them, though. Because 343 was specifically created. And those people knew when they joined them that, hey, we are splitting off. Hey, you want to make Halo? Come see us. Black Tusk Games was just revitalizing Microsoft Vancouver, and at that time, hey, they were making potentially like a new IP. Yeah. Until Epic sold them the license, they were like, "Oh crap! Now we have the Gears license." Okay, and then that's when they brought Rod in, who wasn't already there. As the lead, they replaced whoever the lead was with Rod. So, I mean, I think some of them, might. I think a lot of them liked it from what I heard from interviews and stuff, reading some of the early when that had happened, because it was like, oh my God, we get to work on this awesome IP that we've played all through these past 10 years. But I think some of those would be, maybe they would have some more other, because there's probably other pitches that a lot of the team that maybe is still there, still want to make. Whereas maybe the 343, hey, you specifically knew you were coming here to make Halo. Like, that's the whole reason the studio was created, whereas Black Tusk Games was not created to make Gears until they happened to, get the IP, and then like, okay, now we can make Gears. Well, we don't have very many studios. Hey, Black Tusk, hey, you didn't really have any IP yet, so, work on this. We'll bring in Rod. He'll kind of show you what to do and how to, make a quality Gears game, and off they went.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting when, I mean, again, over the past couple of months, you start hearing things, and again, different journalists have ears to the ground. Jeff Grubb, again, he's suggesting a few things too, that again, this Alpha Point demo, whatever it is, it could be a new IP. It's smaller in scale, but again, they're just kind of testing things out. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing what they could do, not restrained from the Gears of War IP. I'd be very curious to see what they could do, especially when you look at the fact that this isn't the case as it was a few years ago, where they have a much larger stable of studios to allow them to experiment more, right? They don't have to churn out a Gears of War game every 2 years. They can, potentially take their time. They could take 3 to 4 years. I mean, that's just my opinion, but again, Xbox doesn't have to rely on the same IP in certain like time periods anymore. They can allow these IP to, again, give them a little bit of break and maybe try some new stuff. I don't know what any of you guys think on the panel. Centurion, do you have any thoughts on the matter here?
And I'm on mute. I am so sorry. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with the Unreal Engine. I remember when everybody got oohed and awed and supposedly thought the Unreal Engine 5 was going to be exclusive to PlayStation and all this other stuff. So I'm going to sit back and really enjoy watching this. And it's going to definitely give people a good eye-opening experience into what next gen is going to truly look like. Because let's just put it this way, regardless of the pandemic itself really kind of made, in my opinion, the rollout of next gen a very large uphill battle, which is why I have not been out there just totally, demanding these next gen experiences, because I can only imagine how difficult the situation has been. And it's really nice to see Microsoft, Coalition, all of them coming out, getting ready to show us exactly what they're going to do with it.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I mean, personally, I like when we're talking about new IP and whatnot, just going back to what we were saying before, I would love to see that supposed Shang heist, it was called, when they revealed that trailer back in 2013. I know that they announced a lot of stuff pretty early, but again, the Microsoft Xbox Vancouver studio, Black Tusk, now the Coalition. Again, that was supposed to be the next big studio, and it is, but that was supposed to be the next big franchise that they were touting, and I don't know, from what I've heard, from what I was to understand, that things weren't exactly working out so well. I don't know if they're gonna be using anything learned from that game, any assets in any other games. I mean, maybe the initiative is going to be using some of those assets for Perfect Dark. Who knows? It seems like they're kind of similar types of games, so that would be cool. But I don't know. Like, Tim, what are your thoughts on this? Would you like to see the Coalition do something different? Do you think that they'd do a smaller IP for now, just to get them experimenting with the Unreal Engine 5?
Yeah, I do believe this report, and even though it was a passion project, Ninja Theory with the game. What was the game? I forgot the name of the game.
Project Mara?
No, it was the game that they did. It was a multiplayer.
Oh,
game.
Bleeding Edge.
Bleeding Edge. One of the thoughts was that they knew that Hellblade was going to be combat heavy, and they wanted some of the developers to learn, and to even get better at combat, melee and stuff like that. So that was kind of like one of the reasons why they greenlit it, as far as it being also a passion project. And I do think that this is something where it's similar, where they say, okay, Gears, we can give a break to, and we can have a mid-sized game where we can get the team, fully adept to what it can offer, and then put out the most photorealistic, bar-setting graphical game in Gear 6 or Gear End, whatever you want to call it, the last supposedly game in Gears. So I do believe it's true, and I think it's a smart idea. If Xbox was in a different position where they only had 15 studios, and they didn't have Bethesda, and they didn't have some of the other games that they have coming along, like Contraband and some other rumored games. They are so stacked with games that you can be afforded to do something like this. And listen, Coalition is almost a 400 plus studio now. They are getting to the size of 343 is now 700. It's ridiculous. These studios keep growing, and they're getting better and better, and they're honing in on their skills. So it just makes a lot of sense to kind of put out a game that they could do experimental Game Pass game. It might not be a full AAA. It might be a double A or a short game or something that like experimental, so that they can get the handle on the engine, and then, like I said, push out 2026 or whatever. It would come out the de facto Unreal Engine game. And I think that's what Coalition's striving for. They are Rayner and some of the people that they have there are geniuses, the best in the business, and they pride themselves on putting out the best looking game or the best usage of Unreal Engine, at least 4 with Gears 5, and that's debatable too. You could definitely make a case for it. I think that they want to just they want to make their statement on 5 with the ending of a huge series. I mean, Gears might come back. Who knows? The other point too is that Gears needs a break. They need to kind of cool off a little, and then people need to forget about it a little. And then nostalgia is a beautiful thing, and it comes back, and if it looks the way that I'm thinking it's going to look and going to set the bar, people are going to be very, 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 very impressed. And I do think that's the overall thinking with that studio. I think that it's a good bet that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, look how long it took us to get another mainline Halo game, right? Halo 5 Guardians came out, 2015? Now we're in 2021. So, I mean, granted, there's, there's different stories there, but at the same time, it took a while, right? And Microsoft allowed them to take their time with the game. So they could easily give the Coalition more time to perfect their trade with the Unreal Engine and just to work on Gears more, which I think would be a blessing. So I got no problem with that personally. And if they want to do another smaller experimental game, hey, all the power to them. And like Mav said in the chat, they did say they were working on multiple projects. They didn't necessarily confirm new IP, but they got a couple of projects in the pipeline. So yeah, they could be hinting at something there. But yeah, guys, either way, I think, the Coalition's a talented studio, and I look forward to seeing whatever demo that they have in the works. I think we only have like a week and a half to wait on that one, so we will.
Is anybody more excited just to see what the Coalition is doing in general now that Rod Ferguson isn't exactly kind of leading the charge?
Yes.
See, that's what I mean. For me, the Unreal Engine it's like, okay, I know that the Unreal Engine is like gonna definitely bring us some advancements in gaming, but maybe my just thought patterns go towards, I'm really curious on how they're doing now that Rod Ferguson is not there to totally, I guess, lead the charge, light the fires, do whatever it is he was doing.
Yeah, because for those who played Gears 5, the multiplayer launched, and it was kind of a mess, like the way the online store was structured, and I can't. Obviously, they fixed it. It's okay now, but I feel like the damage was done at launch. So I do feel like under new leadership, they can take their time, give the series a break, really actually plan this next game out, close out the second trilogy, do it right, do the multiplayer right. So I think this will be like a good little segue, just see what they're capable of, just with fresh eyes, fresh IP. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, MLD, I think you were talking about, like, you're alluding to the, because they had like a currency system in there, if I'm not mistaken, and I remember a lot of people just being really upset with how they were going about it. The multiplayer was fun. It also, like, the content-wise multiplayer, if I'm not mistaken, too, is like a little on the low end side, not too many maps and whatnot. So again,
there's a lot of missing characters too. I think people were complaining about. People said how Gears 3 had more characters for multiplayer at launch. It was hard to defend that. Yeah.
And then again, like, I know, like, I also felt like too the way that they took the campaign. I know like there was a lot of people that liked the campaign, but I don't know. There was also a segment of the community too that didn't really care for what they were going for with like the more open world kind of Gears environment. I mean, I thought it was okay, but I don't know. Call me a traditionalist with the Gears of War, but I don't know. I prefer like a more linear kind of a Gears campaign, if you catch my drift. But again, that's different tastes, guys. We all have different tastes. But I'll be very curious to see going forward what they produce, and like Centurion and MLD were suggesting here, I'll be curious to see what happens without Rod Ferguson in the driver's seat. So hopefully we don't have to wait too long on that to see what they're cooking up there. Okay, guys, on to our last topic of the evening. And recently, Avalanche Studios did an interview with outlet Game Industry about their upcoming Xbox exclusive Contraband, stating that they couldn't pitch this game to just any publisher and how much they like Xbox Game Pass. I mean, go figure, right? And well, Centurion, how important is a service like Xbox Game Pass to studios like Avalanche Studios that, well, they need to pull in higher player numbers into their game? I mean, this is a co-op game, Contraband, right? Like, how important is it for them to get the player numbers out of this service?
Well, when you read the article and you also get into what the I forget the guy's name, but the CEO of Avalanche, then it was actually a very enlightening article, because it finally shed some light on exactly. You have Avalanche Studios, you have, I think it was like Massive Worlds, and then there's a third one, I forget its name already. I completely did not know that they were actually that massive of a company. And he explains that when you're tackling into, for them, because everybody's looking at Contraband at like, you guys do Just Cause, which is a single player experience where you go in and there's people that literally try to break the game. They do all this crazy stuff in the game, and now they got to somehow kind of do that on multiplayer level. And he explained that Game Pass is a good avenue for you to be able to get your user base up, because if you have a strong active user base, you'll be able to make money off of that user base and not have to really worry about initial sales, as long as you can keep up an active user base. And Game Pass gives you a very active user base, a very engaging. I mean, people literally are all over the place as Game Pass subscribers. They play all sorts of kinds of games. And now with Contraband, I feel, dude, I love how they made reference to Generation Zero. Generation Zero, I felt, was a very interesting game, open world on an island, just filled with mechanical robots. He even talked about it. If you enjoy killing robots, go play Generation Zero if that's your thing. But with Contraband, they're really wanting it to be more than that. They're wanting it to be almost like, at least the references I got, a Just Cause experience for about 3 or 4 people. And I've played Just Cause. That would be an insane experience to be able to play with friends, have all those explosions and the environment, just total chaos. And I mean, Contraband has piqued my interest, and all we have seen is a CG trailer. I've enjoyed what has come out of the studios that have a little bit to do with how this title has come into fruition. And Game Pass, I feel Game Pass is going to help games like this definitely get more of a grounding. I've always championed Game Pass as being definitely pro-consumer, but Game Pass has also been touted as a gateway for developers to get their product into a console ecosystem, because we've all seen, MLD here alluded to it earlier. We saw a few weeks ago just what is going on with game developers on trying to get products into these console ecosystems, and Game Pass is just making this extremely easy.
Well, I mean, it's interesting too, because like you said, it's actually a very interesting read, this Game Industry article interview. And when the CEO took over back in 2015, the company, according to his words, was pretty much on the verge of bankruptcy, Avalanche Studios. And they carefully grew certain franchises like the Hunter franchise, for example. And what else? They released Just Cause 3.
3 and 4.
Yeah, 3 and 4. I mean, I have Just
They made
Cause.
Rage 2.
Oh yes, that's correct. Rage 2. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so obviously Avalanche games, they have a pedigree in their chaotic open world games, but
I think it's going to get even better because they kept alluding to Generation Zero, which was built on the Apex engine, and now they're talking about that they're using the newer version of the Apex engine to craft Contraband. And I mean, let's put it this way. On Generation Zero, these robots in certain instances would chase you across that entire damn island. So, I mean, like, it's like when they say open world, I mean open world. It's not like they would just, the person, hit the zone that I'm supposed to, ignore him at. No, like, I mean, it was just really crazy on how it was just an eerie island in Generation Zero that had nothing but these robots running around. And you're able to bring people into that experience. And I'm excited because I've played Generation Zero with a few friends, and in situations with friends and games like that, you can have experiences that totally you'd be talking about for days. I'm rambling.
Oh no, rambling's good, buddy.
I've been rambling all day, so it's fine. You're rambling.
I thought it was funny because Generation Zero was a game that I dabbled in at first by myself, totally did not like it. And then a friend of mine saw it too and was like, I'm thinking about checking it out. And so he got it. We started playing it together. His kid joined us. And after that, it turned into this huge adventure of just running around this island and wreaking havoc on robots and just scavenging for weapons and just trying to figure out what the hell happened.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I'm going to be honest, and this is my pure speculation, but I think Avalanche is the next studio that's going to be announced for Xbox, and I say that for a couple of reasons. Obviously, this exclusive that they have going on, I think that they feel very strongly about it. Xbox feels strongly about it. The fact that they have previous connections with Bethesda, who is now with Xbox, they did Rage 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have that type of connection there. There are 3 studios. They're also overseas. They're in, I believe, Norway?
Sweden, I think.
Sweden, yeah. So you add all that stuff up. I'm going to say that by the end of this year or possibly E3 next year, that they are going to be definitely announced. I have a real good feeling that that's going to happen, or I'm pretty bullish on that because it just makes too much sense, especially if the game does well, and I heard it's pretty close. They've been working on it for a while. If the game does well, again, it's about, we were making jokes about cultivating these relationships, but that's exactly what would happen here. You have a previous relationship with Bethesda, and now you have a relationship with Xbox, and they're overseas. So when you're overseas, Xbox does not get taxed the same way that they would get taxed if it was within the States. So they basically don't have to pay taxes, or they pay a margin of what they would pay versus if it was based in the States. You learned of this when Minecraft was purchased. People were like, well, $2.2 billion. At the time, people were actually making fun of the deal that was Xbox paid way too much. As we look back, we laugh at those people, but part of the lore of that whole thing was that they had this offshore, whatever you want to call it, bank, and it's just good to see that it looks like they're going down that route. So for me, I think it makes a lot of sense. They get 3 divisions. One's in New York, corporate offices in Norway, and I think Xbox and Phil wants to have for the studios. He wants to have a global appeal, and he wants to have a global presence. I think Yoshida said it once, and it hit home that that Sony is the world, and it really is. When they have portions of Europe and the States, and then they had Japan, where Xbox is kind of like located in the United States, and that's it. Now you have Xbox in the United States, and you have some in Japan with Bethesda Tango. But yeah, this is one of the guys that I'm going to say is a good chance it's going to happen, and it'll be nice. I think it's a nice studio to get. How they would work the whole situation with Booty. I have actually had asked a question or two to certain people, and there was a belief that people didn't believe in Booty, or they were questioning him thing. I don't know if that necessarily was true by the answer that I've gotten. The answer that I pretty much was thinking that he once pioneered, or he pushed Midway, and that think of all the studios, all the games that they were pushing out. So they are fully behind Booty, and if they did a purchase of Avalanche, you would think that they would do the whole thing with Bethesda, where it kind of like is a subsidiary. Or whatever, like they have their own thing. I don't think that they would change it much, but it doesn't, I don't think that they would be consolidating or thinking that Booty couldn't handle another 3 studios. From what I've gathered, that they have a real high confidence level. And the reason why I say that is because there was rumors that he was getting questioned by some of the inner studios about budgets and stuff like that, but which might be true, but that's probably that's probably a studio like Compulsion saying, "Oh, I want a big budget. Why is this guy getting a big budget?" And that stuff goes on all the time, and that's fine because that's just part of the business. But so good things on that front. I do think that this studio will be under Xbox surely soon enough.
Mm-hmm. I think to build on that, the back catalog would essentially come to Game Pass, so we will get all the Just Cause games, Mad Max, all the other stuff. But I think I was recently just looking up the Metacritic scores for their games, and surprisingly, Avalanche is a very unique studio in that their games are actually in the high 60s, low 70s of Metacritic, believe it or not. And yet they end up becoming so popular, and yet they're so fun with people, and they resonate with gamers. I feel like they're the only studio that can get away with that. But if this were to happen, I think now that Contraband is under Xbox's, they're working more closely. I think that they can, just help them, just give them tips, tools of the trade, a better budget to just make the game that much better. Because if they want to make this game like a game that sells like Sea of Thieves, like years after release, I think it pays for them to see what Xbox is doing and like the tips that they have to tell them. So, but also I think because of the low Metacritic scores, the lower end, I guess, it would actually make for a lower purchase price. I think. See, if they were cranking out 90 plus Metacritic score games, I think the buying price would be like maybe a little too much for them. But I think that might actually help them. The fact that they're a little bit lower, but room to improve.
100%. It wouldn't be setting the world on fire. I don't think that Xbox fans would be like total. I think they'd be happy, but like you said, they probably would come at a reasonable deal, and again, there's no the tax implications are are big as well, because you think, if you were spending, let's say that I wouldn't say that. I'm going to say that they would be purchased for something around 400 million, maybe, or 300 million. To think that Insomniac was bought by 229 million by Sony is just absolutely. I mean, that studio.
Yeah.
Shortchanged
Yeah, you're
themselves.
right. Yeah.
They could have sold themselves easily for $1 billion. So I mean, I love the guys in Insomniac, but Jesus, I mean. That's like, that annoys me that even Sony. I mean, I would think that would be like, that's after Spider-Man too.
Yeah.
And Insomniac, if you look at them, they're probably one of their most impressive studios right now. They put out Spider-Man, which was with ray tracing at launch, and they did Ratchet and Clank, which I think did pretty good. I think that it was a little overhyped, but still, quality freaking studio for 229 million. You'd think that Avalanche would be less than that, but they're actually bigger than Insomniac, as they have 3 locations, 3 real estates, 3 locations in the world, or they're operating. So I would say, let's just say it would be 500 million, but then you don't have to pay taxes on that. That's, you could up the offer a little bit to make it attractive to them. But yeah, I do feel that this is a deal that is likely to happen, unless the completely shits the bed.
Yeah, like I'm very curious to see what they're developing here. Like, as Centurion was stating, how they're going to be retooling the Apex engine, because if any of you guys played their titles, I really enjoyed Just Cause 3 just because of how, I just thought it was a really fun game. It was really crazy, all the action. I haven't played Just Cause 4. I remember hearing some mixed things when it first got released, but it really shaped up from what I'm to understand. Mad Max, I played that. It's a fantastic game. The vehicular combat is a lot of fun. Again, they make fun open world games, and I'm just curious to see how they tackle a crazy co-op game too, where you're like a smuggler.
So I think it's funny how everybody leaves a game out of because it's like, we have massive open worlds, systemic reaction, and then obviously the main Avalanche team, as they're called. And I love how you want to see kind of their multiplayer, I guess the guys that are good at multiplayer in under the Avalanche Studios umbrella, and that's over a systemic reaction with the guys that are doing Second Extinction. I feel a lot of people always don't realize that Second Extinction is under Avalanche's, I guess, umbrella. And if you really kind of look at it, I have played both Generation Zero and Second Extinction. They almost feel, in a way, somewhat similar. Open world. Dude, Second Extinction, though, has a much more vibrant, lively world compared to Generation Zero's just like darkness and just dude, Generation Zero, there could be like literally 20, 30, 45 minutes between action points, where on Second Extinction that doesn't happen. And I really feel like they're going to definitely probably reach out to some of the developers that are under their umbrella to probably give them pointers, tips, ideas. And we're going to probably see a very, very fun-filled experience. I see, honestly, just like almost like Payday, but done way better.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's great Centurion, great thing. That's exactly what I heard. When I knew about this game that was discussed. I'm watching the dogs right now. I'm house sitting, so if you hear my dogs are crazy. So the point was that Payday. That's exactly what I thought when I heard about this rumored game and the way it was being pitched. And I was in the Xbox Live chat with some people, and some people were like, "Oh, that's going to be shit," and that something. And then I'm thinking, like, I never knew Payday 2 should have been so much better. Remember that game? Wasn't it marred by, like, it just didn't run?
Oh, dude, I tried playing that game with some friends a few months ago, and that game, oh my God, we actually deleted it off our Xbox. It's like, yeah, I am so glad that was I think we bought it for $5. So yeah, that's why I was just like, we were totally unimpressed at the experience for sure.
Right. I remember the idea is great. And listen, if it's a multiplayer game only, listen, the days of Sony and Xbox that have those single player games and this and that, throw that shit out the window. You got Starfield, you got Hellblade, you got all these games, and you got Halo. Unfortunately, don't criticize Xbox because they pull it on a full on multiplayer and single player experience like Gears, Forza, Halo. It's because you talk about quality, but you're getting quality multiplayer, quality single player. But if it's a multiplayer only game, which is suspected to be kind of like Heist or a Payday Heist, that's a cool idea, and I have no problem with that.
I really like the idea of, sorry to interrupt, Tim, but they actually said it's supposed to take place in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Some of the best gangster films, we're talking like, Scarface and other films like that, they take place around kind of that whole generation of like crime. This is before satellite tracking. This is before almost like radio technology where, cops could chase you for miles and miles. I mean, it's actually probably going to be a way, way better experience just because of its time setting alone.
Yeah, 100%. And just think about the games that they make, like Rage 2. I mean, I played it. I didn't finish it, but I played it, and the combat and the shooting and the explosions were pretty cool. So you put that type of game engine or that type of talent, and you put that behind that idea. I can understand why Xbox supposedly is very excited about this game. And when you look at the trailer, it kind of reminded me of Indiana Jones trailer, what they did. Where they kind of just spanned over and you saw like the clock, and with this stuff you saw like the I think the bag, the grenades, and you saw all this stuff. Yeah, I can think about that. That could be pretty cool. Like you go in with four guys, and you're massively fighting police, and you're getting shot at, and then you have to take the car, and you have to take the money, and you have to go to probably a location. You're getting chased. And all those mechanics, just like in Rage 2 when you're driving the car, they have the pedigree to make that game. And just kind of envision that in Mad Max. And for me, I'm envisioning, like you said, Payday 2 with a heist, a GTA heist. Damn, like I said, I can understand why Xbox is a little high on this game and why there's acquisition talks, because they're probably seeing the game and they're probably a little excited about it. And, a lot of people say, these studios, you could judge them, they suck. They had this and that. Listen, many studios had, even Naughty Dogs, they had shit games that came out. You look at the things, it's about natural growing. It's about, sticking to, doing what you're doing. You look at like Guerrilla Games, like they were a joke with Shadowfall. They had a 70 Metacritic. They had a lot of bombs on their hands, and then they have Horizon, and it's like, oh my god. Even Insomniac, you look at them, and they had some games, but then they had their big games that come through. So this might be Avalanche's game where they blossom out. And it'd be, like I said, it's amazing that Xbox is getting these exclusives in addition to the 35 teams or 36 teams that they have working on games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, the reason why we're excited and we're happy here on this podcast and just Xbox is because this shit's exciting. Like, they got a lot of stuff coming down, man. I can only imagine when this starts to hit. Like I keep saying, it's going to be an embarrassment of riches. Like, that's like when you just like, you just have so many games and they're just hitting you.
Hey, Tim, I know you can talk to people over at Xbox. You got to tell them to start marketing a shirt that says Xbox has too many games.
Yeah, or Starfield, my favorite.
Starfield.
Oh, God.
That's it, just Starfield.
That's what they all. That's. I don't really get when I'll ask a question, and a lot of things I've been getting lately is they're mocking me. Do they just put Starfield? That's their answer. It's like they do it back to me. Like because as you know, I just type Starfield,
Mhm.
and it's like a running joke on my Twitter. And this is just listen. People are like, you're going to take the biggest L. I have all the confidence in the world that Starfield is going to be a huge, huge hit. Do I have confidence in the world is going to hit on that date? I don't know. That could get delayed. But I do believe that game is going to be what... Listen, I grew up playing Morrowind. I loved Morrowind. How good was it? Skyrim, one of my favorite games ever played. Okay, I played it on PC. I have over 80 hours on it. An amazing game. This is going to be the next generation of that, and I just think it's going to be a huge hit. So when I say that Starfield really like I literally would like take days off of Twitter. So like I said, I've been very busy working, studying for CDL, whatever. Just been crazy since like when everything's starting to get back to normal. Doing family stuff, a lot of stuff, this and that. But so I haven't been on Twitter as much. But anyway, I would just literally put Starfield, and I'd wake up and I'd get like 500 likes and like 100 followers a day. And I did it. It was like a running joke. I did it like for like a week, and I literally got to 40,000 followers just doing that for like a month. Like I gained 5,000 followers, 3,000 followers in a month or something, whatever crazy it was. But that's how so many people are really hyped about that game. And, I honestly, people think it's going to suck, or they're saying it's Fallout 76. They're in for a rude awakening, man. That game is going to be amazing. And I think it's going to really, our imaginations are going to be great. You can only think of how much it's going to go. But yeah, I mean, I'm ranting tonight, but like I said, I'm really excited. You can't wait to just when the Flight Simulator's coming out the 27th, Ascent's coming out the 29th.
Psychonauts in next month.
Psychonauts. Is it true that Psychonauts 2 is going to only get a next-gen enhancement on Xbox only? I did not.
Yeah,
yes.
That, but I don't know if that's true. Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
It's a nice little loophole. The contract only stated it would be for PS4 and Xbox One. They said nothing about PS5 and Series X.
Nice.
So it's a nice little loophole to make Xbox have the edge. Plus, obviously, day one Game Pass.
Speaking of reading between the lines, did I misunderstand something, Invader? I don't want to like stick my foot in my mouth and tell people about Second Extinction, but systemic reaction is like the full quote is establish a more stable foundation in business built around 3 divisions: the main Avalanche Studio teams, the Hunter developer Expansive Worlds, and Generation Zero creator Systemic Reaction.
Well, it's a part of the studio family.
And that's where I said they're under the umbrella, I guess you would say.
Yes.
That's where I was saying I'm not saying that systemic reaction had something Avalanche had something to do with Second Extinction directly, but it's as much as a phone call of saying, hey, can we borrow Bob for a few months? And I'm pretty sure they'd let Bob go over there and talk to him.
Yeah. No, you got it right. It's not a big deal either way. It's a nice group of studios to have. Again, when you talk about the pedigree involved with Rage 2, Mad Max, the Just Cause games, again, those are awesome games to have in Xbox's portfolio. I'm just thinking about like a I mean, who knows if we'll get to that point, but, let's say, a Just Cause 5 that's exclusive to Xbox in the near future. Like, that's crazy. That's another thing you got to cover. That's a crazy open world game and another feather in their cap, So, that's exciting. It's exciting talking about these things. Contraband looks like it's going to be, well, again, we talk about things, right? Like the next Payday or Vermintide or something. But, I mean, like it very well could be for all we know. And they're talking about vehicular combat and... I could just see a lot of crazy things going on in this Contraband game, and hopefully we get to see a trailer in the coming months. And I don't know, Xbox seems to be very high on this, so just really looking forward to it, like Tim was saying. So, hopefully we get to see some of that soon. But yeah, guys, I think on that note, I think we'll start signing off here. And I gotta say, guys, really good show tonight with plenty of good, healthy discussions going on here, with talk on news coming out of the PlayStation camp, Xbox's Contraband, the Coalition, Unreal Engine 5, some news going on there, and more. And hey, to all of you that joined us tonight, thanks for tuning in. Again, it's always great to have you all here. Some new faces, a lot of familiar faces. It's always a treat to have you all here. We appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to keep up to date with everything TXR. Now let's move on over to the outros. Shockley had to get out of here. He was having some audio issues from the looks of it. But you can find him at Easy Shock on Twitter. Really good guy to follow. Very insightful. I'll start signing out here with our newest addition, though, General MLD. Buddy, solid show tonight. Where can everybody follow you at?
Thank you. At MLD Ghost is my Twitter handle. General MLD is my YouTube one. Starting to make pick up my content. Also, I was also hired as a writer for a new Xbox centric site. GPN.gg. That's going to launch very soon. I can't say the date, but it's coming up. Like, I think we need more Xbox centric voices in the gaming media, and I'm happy to keep you guys posted about that. But otherwise, like this show is so much fun. It's always fun talking to you guys. We bounce off our ideas pretty well, and it's always a good vibe being on here. So thanks a lot, and I look forward to being a regular here going forward.
Yeah.
No, of course, MLD, and we look forward to seeing your content on there. Again, always support the new Xbox stuff, so we look forward to your articles and your write-ups there. Moving on here, Tim Buddy. Hey, excellent stuff. Always insightful. Very talkative tonight. Where can everybody follow you, bud?
Tonight I was ranting. Like I said, I haven't been kind of disengaged and really kind of focusing on other stuff. But when there's passion, there's always passion. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter, xCloudTimDog. The same name is on Xbox Live. You can hit me up. You can hit me up with a message if you want to play. Play a lot of Madden and baseball games and stuff like that. But I'm really happy that General is here and he's with us. Again, like I said at the start of the show, really was always a fan of him, and I feel that he's well spoken and he has a lot of strong points, and he's not afraid to say them. But he's, on the other hand, I've never seen the guy be mean or just he just states his point. He has a lot of passion, and he's just a good dude, and I'm really happy that he joined this panel. I feel like the show's on the right track. We got to get Mr. Megatron here. I think he's still playing with Phil every weekend. I guess one day he can grace us with his presence. But he'll be on soon. Just joking about him. I love Megatron. But yeah, no, really happy about the show tonight. I like shows when I can be like that and we can just all bounce off each other. And really good show tonight. One of my favorites. It's just like we talked about a lot of stuff. I think we all have a lot of enthusiasm.
Mhm.
And we're all you guys are awesome. Awesome content creators. Check out everything that you guys do. The platforms that you guys present. I think that we're all in for a big boost because it seems like Xbox really has their shit together, and we're just like starting this. We're starting to ascend up right now.
Well said, Mr. Xbox Lizard. Well said. But no, well said. And I really appreciate our newest edition general there. Again, really good show. And who else do we got here? Centurion Bud. Again, it's always fun having you on deck. Where can everybody follow you at?
Great show tonight, guys. Had a ton of fun. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you to everybody out in the chat. For those interested in finding me, you can find me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Twitter, and of course, Xbox Live. You can also find me every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast and every Sunday night right here on the TXR Podcast.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. And let's see, to round this out, of course, this is Invader, and you guys can check out my content on YouTube over at Invader Gaming. Of course, I'm on a wide variety of different media sites. You can find my content on BitChute, same name, Invader Gaming, and so on. Guys, good time tonight, and we look forward to seeing you all here next week. Take it easy, folks. Relax, and enjoy your gaming. Catch you later, guys. Bye-bye.